Yo, what is up? It's your boy Evolution Games. In today's episode, I'm gonna show you my best weapons loadout and how to get them. So let's get started. Okay, so for my weapons loadout, I'm gonna be picking out these weapons. So these are gonna be Shadow Hunter Bow, Shadow War Bow, Shadow Sharpshot Bow, and Shadow Blast Sling. Now, for this weapon, I picked it up because as opposed to Shadow Sling, just because of the amount of damage that Shadow Blast Sling does. So make sure to pick that up, as you'll be dealing massive amounts of damage with this weapon as opposed to Shadow Sling. Now, disclaimer, there are better weapons in the game than these ones, which are the Lodge weapons. In order to obtain those, you have to clear hunting grounds, which are marked as these blue bows and blue arrows across the map, which are pretty hard to do. But if you manage to clear them, you will get a much better weapon, although it's gonna offer you the same amount of special arrows. The difference is only gonna be in the actual damage that the weapon has. Without further ado, let's see how this works in action. So for my starting weapon, I use a regular hunter bow, which is there to provide fast reloads and basically burst enemies with it. It doesn't do quite a lot of damage, but it can be quite effective on smaller targets. What I like to do is start things off with regular arrows to get the aggro and deal some slight damage, and then switch it up to the tear blast arrows. Now, tear blast arrows are my favorite because they tear off components of enemies quite easily. Of course, they are only useful on machines and not human opponents or enemies rather. With tear blast arrows, you'll be able to quite easily take off enemies' components, and thus making them either easier to kill or making them less of a threat to you by getting rid of their ammo and or perhaps machine guns or whatever they might have. Once they are exposed and armorless, then you can switch it up with either bombs, like proximity bombs in this case, although this is not how you use proximities. In order to use proximity bombs, you put them on the ground like a mine, and then when enemies come near, then they will explode. Blast bombs are what you want to use at close range because they deal a lot of damage and are quite easily capable of killing even the biggest of machines. You have other kinds of weapons like freeze arrows, which can slow down enemies and eventually freeze them if you can stack them enough. And you have corruption arrows. Corruption arrows aren't that useful if you're one-on-one with the machine, but they can become quite useful in a place where you have multiple machines and you cannot override them. Of course, I still recommend overriding machines because unlike corruption arrows, if you override machines, they will fight for you for a longer duration and possibly even until they are killed or attacked by you. Now, if you corrupt them with your arrows, they will only briefly fight anything in their path, including you and other machines, so make sure to stay away from them if you corrupt them. You have a sticky bomb too, which explodes after a certain duration, as you can see in the background, but I don't really use them because of the fact that they have a delay. So if you put a sticky bomb on someone who's attacking you, be careful and know that there is a delay after which the sticky bomb is gonna explode. Of course, you can use this tactically as well to put a bomb and then reposition yourself for a better spot and then just go on from there. Another type of arrows I really like to use is the fire arrows. They are favorite of mine because they do damage over time, especially if you stack more of them. So they are pretty much useful against most enemy types in the game, including human enemies. So make sure to use those as much as possible. What I like to do is hit bigger machines with tear blast arrows. That's gonna tear off their components or armor, and then I like to spam them with fire arrows or blast links depending on how far they are from me. That combination alone is gonna deal so much damage that either the machine is gonna die or will be very close to it. Another type of arrows that you can find useful are precision arrows that deal damage from higher distance and are quite precise. However, I don't really use them that much, but they can come useful in certain situations where you need to stay in cover from high distance. You don't want to lose the accuracy or the power of your arrows. In order to obtain these weapons, you can buy them from merchants throughout the game as you keep progressing with the main storyline. However, keep in mind that not every merchant is gonna have these exact bows, but moving between 2 or 3 merchants is gonna have all the weapons that you need. Okay, so for most of these weapons you won't be able to just buy them, as they will require you to have special materials, usually hearts of fallen machines. In order to obtain those, you're gonna have to farm a couple of machines, but it's not hard, especially on later levels. Now in this case, you can see me use corruption arrow, although it won't do anything because the machine was fighting my friendlies, and it already was fighting everyone and everything in sight, which is why it didn't matter if I use it here or not. If you have trouble leveling up and killing these machines, then I'd suggest getting the best armor in the game, the Shield Weaver. I also have the video on that, so make sure to check that out. And I also suggest leveling up your character and getting some skills and items, as that is gonna help you out in the long run. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you next time. Peace.